So we're going to be short and sweet. We've got an hour slot here, but I don't think we're going to use anything like that amount of time. We're going to go through the support and guidance for delivering the paper 2, which is the ICE document and the checklists. We're going to talk about the key prep activities, what we recommend, and hopefully what you may have looked into, and answer any questions you have on what they are, what to expect on the exam day, and very, very importantly, of course, try and answer any questions that you have. No questions yet on the Q&A. We've introduced ourselves. So jumping straight in, the ICE and role-specific checklists can be found on the website. Are they attached in any way to this presentation or to the pack that the people?
So hopefully everyone should have already received, okay. The links are within the presentation, but emails that we've sent out should also have had the links on as well. But any issues getting those, just drop us an email and we can send you out a kind of a copy attached to an email if that works.
So really important that you access the ICE for this paper 2. It's version 1.5. We're doing a diligent job of versioning it, because as we go through live assessment series, we build in any intelligence that we learn, any further good guidance or information. So it's an absolutely critical document. And it is interesting, unusually, when we submitted our redeveloped 2020 spec to the regulators for accreditation, it went along with an ICE, because it was that important to assure the regulators that we had considered the practical elements of this assessment and provided solutions already up front to centres for things that could come up. So definitely an absolutely critical place to start. Let's see what updates did we build into that. There's a schedule form. So what we're asking people to do is, if you, because of a limitation on hardware, need to stagger your starts, we're asking you to communicate that to us early so we can work with you to help with any complications that may have. Now, our first live session in summer 2022, not one centre availed of a staggered start. So every centre that accessed this paper 2 managed to do it in one session, which is quite interesting. One state school of 135 candidates did it in one session, so it's quite an extreme example of getting that done. But if you feel that for your logistical delivery you're going to do staggered, we just want you to tell us. It's nothing draconian. We just want to be in the loop so that we can support and help you with any issues that come up. The practical programming statement is a requirement from the regulators for all of the 2020 redeveloped specs. It's a document where the head of centre says that the students on this qualification have had access to practical programming experience. It's pretty lightweight. Your head of centre needs to do it. We need to capture it, despite the fact that for our particular spec, it's a completely unnecessary piece of admin, but the regulators require it. So the links on this slide, it's an online form just to cover that. So those two things are some forms that we're looking for up front. Students may use the calculators provided on their PC. So it was quite funny. We after the first live session, there were some questions about, well, can they use calculators or not? And I mean, when you think about it, if you're a teacher, you know that they're sitting in front of an IDE in a programming language. The concept of needing a hand calculator is quite strange. But from the point of view of the regulations and how to manage it, what we suggest is that they should not carry in to the assessment any digital devices. And I would say that would include a calculator. Don't carry it in. If they want to do any calculations during the course of the exam, they can use the programming language and the computer that's in front of them. So the thinking there is in terms of the integrity and security of the assessment. The regulators obviously very keen that we can convince them that it's a very secure assessment because it's a high stakes GCSE, and so we've got words in the ICE about not carrying in any digital devices, so things like watches that might be able to take photographs, mobile phones. And we say leave the calculators out as well. It caused a confusion, so we tried to clarify it, I think, in this ICE. From the last one of these meetings, I remember we maybe didn't get it quite clear enough, but if you have any questions, just ask. We do, and again, it's written in the ICE, but we do advise that when your students finish their assessment, you archive that user profile in a state that it was as they finished, and hold on to that until after any appeals are required. Because when you send stuff to us to mark, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but when you send stuff to us to mark, we can only mark what we get. If something goes awry and you think later that we didn't get everything we should have, you'll need to have that archived copy for you to go and grab that. Wow, there's still people coming in. They're missing all this good stuff. Key dates. So the exam day is 25th of May. It's a Thursday afternoon this year. So you have a whole Friday to get us the student work before you go off for a lovely relaxing half term. We did listen. It was one of the key issues that came up last year because it was the Friday afternoon before half term. So hopefully this is going to make it a lot smoother. The coding files are seed code files that are required for the candidates on the morning of the exam are released at 8 o'clock. And there's about 3 different channels through which you can get that. If you're an exams officer and you're familiar with the secure download service through Edexcel Online, EOL, that's one way. It will also be posted on the qualifications website under gold padlock, and the gold padlock just signifies that only the exams officer can grab it, access it. And we have another, isn't there a direct email option as well, Alexa, if that's necessary?
Yeah, so kind of worst case scenario, if you can't access it through either of those 2 options, is there will be SFT where we can kind of email it straight through to you using secure file transfer, and that's in place as well as contingency for the others.
So we're asking that the work be uploaded to us. I mean, when the exam finishes on that Thursday afternoon, the learner work transfer portal will be available, and you can hit the upload button and I think go away for the weekend. If we have until midday on the Monday, is that the 29th?
Yeah.
As a deadline, but most people will be on half-term break, so hopefully it'll all work smoothly on the Thursday and Friday before you go away. Learner work transfer, by the way, our 2022 session went incredibly smoothly, I think it's fair to say. Very, very few issues, but some of the issues were with this learner work transfer portal, which is nothing more than a upload service that we provide. And it was its first live GCSE session in summer 2022. There were some issues that have been identified and fixed for summer 2023. So, and our files are tiny anyway, so it didn't stress test learner work transfer. But hopefully you'll see an any of you that were involved last year, you should see an improved LWT next year. I see no hands up, no Q&As, so I'll keep going. Please don't hesitate to stick your hands up and interrupt and ask questions. So in addition to the ICE, which is a comprehensive document and a really, really good read, and must be read by the three of you, I would always hasten to add, we do have some role-specific checklists, which can be very helpful, I think, in structuring how the team come together to make this work smoothly. So we have a checklist for the exams officer, a checklist for the IT technicians, system technicians, system managers, and a checklist for the invigilators. These were created to further support your centre, and hopefully it'll help when you're having those discussions around the table and make sure people know what their roles are, so that you can come together and make it work well. Can I expand on LWT? I saw a question flash by my screen. Can I expand on the LWTs? There are instructions for uploading. Thanks. There's a lot of Mrs. L. Spall. Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, learner work transfer. There's a link to the support documents on.
I'm just going to interrupt you, Tim, and it's not because I'm wanting to be rude. Just on that, with the LWT guidance, you are right. There is currently guidance up on our website, but just to let you know, we are looking to update it slightly. So Ruhi, I know, is looking at it. We would hope, I think we're aiming to kind of confirm the updates after the Easter break. And so there'll be a step-by-step guidance. And we've also, so last year we had a little e-learning module, which kind of took you through from a computer science perspective, what LWT would look like, what you'd be able to see, how you would upload, how you change the candidate status, and all the kind of functionality within that LWT platform that you would need to do. So we are also going to update that as well. So you can go on there now and have a quick look at the guidance that says currently. I don't think it's going to change that much, but no. Just to let you know, there is a caveat that there will be an updated version coming towards the end of April.
Yeah, keep in touch with us on that. There's a link in the ICE document to where you can find that learner work transfer stuff. I can't imagine it's going to change much from the user's point of view.
No, it was just when I spoke to Ruhi, she just wanted me to just let people know that she's going to look at it, because she's going to talk to the LWT team just to make sure that there's nothing else we need to make centres aware of or anything that's happened following the January series.
Yeah, okay. So I think
just
from the users,
bit of a caveat.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, that's great. Always learning. We keep improving the documentation and making it more and more accurate. I mean, I'm pretty sure from the centre's point of view, very little has changed. The fixes that were done, for example, won't be visible. You'll hit a submit button, and the things that now have to happen for that to work are behind the scenes have changed. But from the centre's point of view, they shouldn't look any different. So start looking at that now. Anytime you have any questions, look. What did I type? I can't type and talk at the same time, but if you have any questions or you want more information on LWT and you're frustrated or can't find something, that's my direct email. I'm on that every day, so you can just come to me with any questions. Okay, so let's move on. That's the checklists. Okay, yeah, so that's what I'm going to talk about now. So we talked about the documentation, checklists, and the ICE, and now the key activities that you should do. And we recommend that these are done certainly well in advance. Yeah, long. I would even practice. I would do it for a mock even. So the creation of the secure areas and folder setup. So ahead of the exam date, it's important that you've created the secure areas. Candidates should only be able to access these secure areas during that exam. So you'll need to have a login process decided on in your centre, whether that's a username, password for the students printed on a piece of paper on the desk for them to log in, or whether you've pre-logged in before they walk in. All of those things can be managed in your own. Can I have a link to the role-specific checklist? Yeah. please, Julie, maybe you could drop the link to the place on the website where they live. And I think they're linked to in the presentation, Alexa, as well, aren't they? Will we receive a recording of this webinar? I believe so, Alexa. Yeah. Okay,
yes.
great.
Yep. No, we will. Yep. It'll probably be after the Easter holidays, but basically what we'll do, everyone that's attended today, I've got your contact details, so I will circulate the recording once it's done. But hopefully either this afternoon or tomorrow, I will send out a copy of the slide deck anyway, so you've got that to refer to in the meantime.
Right. So these secure areas, it's just important that you get these right. They need to have, clearly the students are going to be using the programming language Python. They're going to be running the IDE that they've been using in their teaching and learning for the 2 years leading up to the assessment. They should have significant, a sufficient amount of writable disk space. It doesn't need, I mean, I was asked to put a number in, so I put 50 megabytes, but it's tiny. As you know, these code files are tiny text files .py. So sufficient storage space. I've put 50 megabytes in. I think that's probably ample. But, if anybody has any worries or concerns about that, let me know. It was absolutely critical for the accreditation of the qualification that this component, paper 2, is undertaken with no access to the internet. Now, that's something that you need to think about from the beginning of delivering the qual, because the IDE that they sit in front of in the exam should be that which they've been practicing with during all of the teaching and learning. And so that implies very much that the IDE should be able to be locally installed and run without internet connection. So if you have any questions or issues or worries about that, do get in touch. Inside the exam profile, thank you, Mark. I'll get to that. Inside the exam profile, 2 folders should be made. One which is called student coding. I don't think uppercase is mandatory, whatever you call it. It can be student coding, and another folder, completed coding. And the idea is that in the student coding folder, we drop the seed code files, which they will work on based on the questions on the paper. The completed coding folder is where they're supposed to save their modified work. So now I've got a question in the text. We have standalone laptops with no login. Students will only access the laptops during the exam. Sounds fine. Mark asked, we did a recent mock and some students accidentally overwrote the student coding files and then wanted the original version back. Can we lock the student coding files so they can't overwrite them? Yes, you can. We designed the delivery of this qualification and we went through during the development of paper 2 all sorts of options for what the file folders should be called at your end. And in the end, we stumped for student coding, completed coding, and we tried to keep things simple. When you do mocks, if you want to have a student coding file, a completed coding file, and a folder called originals for backup, you can do that. That doesn't compromise the security of the assessment in any way. We don't want to mandate that because we don't want to complicate anything. But whatever your students are used to, so Mark, in the example of your recent mock where they accidentally overwrote the student coding files, you can absolutely lock the student coding folder so that it's read-only and they can't write into it. So you could put copies of the original seed code files into the completed coding folder and tell them to work from there. Do you see what I mean? Whatever way you have your students practice is what you should set up for the live assessment. So you can one of the ideas would be to lock the student coding file so it was only read only. Perfectly fine by us. Will we be sent these slides? They're a good read. Thank you. Yes, well done, Alexa. Your slides are a good read, so they'll be sent out. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions about this issue of the naming of the files? And I mean, the thing that's important here, right, is whatever you send us, we will assess. We know that students in the stress situation of a GCSE may do a brilliant job on question 4 and save the file in the wrong place. We don't want that to jeopardize them being marked. So get them to practice putting stuff in the completed coding folder. Work with your students to decide on how you want to arrange it. Talk to us if you have any concerns. The only thing that we want is that the students are successful and that we don't jeopardize the integrity of the assessment. So keep talking to us. So I see, Alexa, there's another poll on here. Results shared. Do you plan? When do you plan to create?
No, I don't.
Has that gone?
I think all the polls I had have been done. Unless anyone wants me to do another one just for fun, I think we're all good on the poll front.
So on the left-hand side of this slide, you'll see what a typical seed code file that we would send you would look like. There would definitely be a question 1 to 6.py. At the moment, these little icons just show that it's a text file. And also our PLS. This V3, it's now, I believe, it might be V5, I think is the live PLS, V5. So that will be there in a digital form along with the seed code files. They will also have the PLS as a paper insert with their question paper. So it can be both on their desk physically as well as digitally in the student coding folder. And then the candidate should save their work into the completed coding. Any questions? Is the name of the final file critical? So in the question paper, this is completely exactly the kind of conversation I want to have, because you're so right. You can tell 15-year-old students in a stress conditions explicitly on the question paper exactly what to call the file, but we don't want a kid that calls his file my dog ate my homework.py. If they call it that, we have to look at it. And if it's clearly question 5 and they've done a brilliant job on it, they will get the marks. So encourage them, make them practice, explain to them that they should follow the instructions on the question paper, name them perfectly, put them into the completed coding folder. And on the day, if they fail to name it wrong, if they fail to name it correctly, that is not part of the assessment criteria, naming files correctly or storing files in the correct folder. So whatever we get back, we will mark. And if it's called My Dog Ate It, we'll look into it to try and give the students some marks. Thank you for that pragmatic approach. And Pearson, yeah, absolutely. The team here are on board with that. Okay, great. Any other questions?
Yeah, Tim, we had 2 come in at the same time, actually. We had one, would you advise us to create the user folder within the secure area? That came before marks. Yeah.
It has to be. It needs to be in the secure user profile. That when the student logs on for their exam, that student coding folder needs to be in. It says contain 2 folders. So yeah, it has to be in there. Must be, because nobody must have access to these seed code files before the start of that exam. Was that one question? Was there another one?
No, that was it. It was just those 2 with Mark came in at the same time.
So contingency measure. Oh my goodness, it's early. Contingency measures. Whenever you're going to use a computer, there's things are going to go wrong. So we recommend, one, that you have somebody from the IT support team on hand for the 2-hour exam. 2, we recommend that your IT person is familiar with how to place the original coding files into the candidate's secure area during the exam if necessary. Exactly the question that you asked earlier, Mark. 3, we recommend that if possible you have spare computers, so that if a computer starts smoking, you can unplug it and that candidate can move over and use another piece of equipment. Invigilators should be made aware of what to do if there's a power cut. We do detail in the ICE what should happen. In the case of a power cut, everyone stays in exam conditions. Hopefully 10 minutes later, the power comes back on. Everyone continues, hopefully without having lost work or progress. And that 10 minutes can be added to the end of the exam. If it's half an hour, you can do the same. That is all within your control, a pragmatic and sensible approach to it. If the power is cut and doesn't return that day, it has to be a spec cons. You have to follow the procedure for special considerations.
Are you all right with that question? Yeah.
Yeah, if they did overwrite the question code with their finished code and it was still in the question folder instead of the completed folder, would this not be marked at all? Sorry if you've answered this, wanted to double check. So, whatever you send us, we have to mark. So send us anything that the students make.
I would echo that. It's like if you know that if the candidates let you know that they're suddenly, oh my goodness, I'm really sorry, I've saved it in the wrong folder, that's fine. You send that folder through to us. If the students
whatever the students have done, send us.
Yeah, send it to us. So yeah, the students' work.
So power cuts. Yeah, I hope that answers the question, C Pointer. Thank you, sorry. The process is understood for submitting special cons. Okay, so yeah. So those 5 bullet points cover a lot, but hopefully it covers all eventualities. Like I say, in summer 2022, we didn't have any spec cons, right, Alexa? So let's hope it's the same. Okay, what's next? What to expect on the exam day? Is everyone ready to move on? So we've talked about the documents, the checklists and the ICE. We've talked about the setting up of the secure areas. And now we're talking about what happens on the day of the exam. So let's start with hard copy first, the second bullet there. So they'll get a question paper in physical paper form and an insert with the program language subset, which happens to be V5 at the moment. It was V3 in summer 2022, and now version 4, it's version 5. That sounds a little bit alarming for the teachers among you. In fact, when you look at the changes between V3 and V5, they amount to nothing. No additions. It's basically just a clarification of some elements. So the PLS, the intention of this qualification is the PLS doesn't change. Then what will they get digitally? So the programming language subset will be provided to the student that you can drop into their student coding folder, as well as the secure coding files. Now, these will be released at 8 a.m. on the day of the exam on that Thursday and can be accessed through the secure download service or the website using gold padlock credentials. We did speak about that earlier. And also, if neither of those work for you, you can contact us and we do a secure file transfer. Missing question papers. Oh, sorry, people. Missing question papers will only be delivered. So it's a standard process for exams officers. If there's missing, if you don't have the question papers and you're a few days before the exam, you contact us, and I think there's this question paper dispatch process. Is there? I don't really know. And then you can contact us. You can track where they are as well, I believe, can you, if you're an exams officer, through Edexcel Online. So any questions there? Let's move on. Learner work transfer. Okay, so there you go. That's how you find it, via the Edexcel Online interface down there. Very importantly, learner work transfer was first developed to support the standards verification process. So our use of learner work transfer is not standards verification, but is examination. So make sure you click on the second option in that menu there, examination moderation. Basically, you'll be then presented with all the students who you've entered. Will PDF versions of the question paper be available, and can we use these with an electronic reader for our SEND students? So Janice, thanks for the question. All special access arrangements are supported for this paper too, and the best thing to do with the electronic reader is test a past paper and let us know if you have any concerns. Because yeah, the question papers will arrive in paper format, but if you need a PDF version, that's a standard access arrangement process, isn't it, Alexa?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, the kind of our modifications team kind of respond to all kind of access arrangement requests and to kind of produce the materials so that your SEND learners can do the assessment. So as far as I'm aware, yes. Does that help, Janice? No, put you on the spot.
Sorry, my dog has just exploded. Excuse me. That'll be sorted in a second. So Janice, yeah, you contact us early if you have any concerns as well, and we'll make sure we exercise the route. And the past papers are certainly up there in PDF form. I know that it's a standard PDF function that they can be read. I don't know if that's all you need. I think that's very simple. There might be more. I mean, when your student is going to do the coding, will they need assistance? So it might be more complicated. So contact us directly, and let's make sure we figure out what the needs are and how to support it. Okay. So the window will open Thursday, 25th of May after the exam through to Monday, the 29th of May at midday. And so for summer 2022, we certainly had customer support phone lines being manned into the evening of that Friday, and we haven't finished finalising what the support levels will be like for this summer, but we'll let you know nearer the time. And there's a link there to the generic learner work transfer portal instructions. It's quite an easy interface. When it works well, it's very straightforward. You drag the student's work onto a tile and it's uploaded. You hit a upload button or a submit button. And I say learner work transfer, there were some issues in summer 2022, and there were some issues identified and fixes implemented. So you should see a better learner work transfer performance than you did last year. I mean, actually, for computer science, there were very few problems, but other qualifications with really, really large file sizes had more significant issues. They too will be significantly improved. So that's the whole of the presentation. Time to open up the floor. Please come off mute. Put your hands up if you have questions. Put them in the text. Okay, so it's 8:44. I'm happy to give everybody 15 minutes of their morning back if that suits. If there's no questions, I'm also happy to answer any questions. I'll drop my email in again so that you know that we're absolutely happy to take any questions and support you as best we can. We use external invigilators who do not have access to our IT systems. Will they need this? No, they won't. If you have your IT people there that can do anything that needs to be IT access related, I think they can support the invigilators. but have a look at the checklist. IDEs different centers have selected. Lily, email me IDEs. We did in the Facebook group, we did a survey of what the most common, and I think the #1 most common one came out as idle, but that may have changed actually. Interestingly, Thonny is a nice early access IDE to use, and then PyCharm is a more heavyweight professional tool. But I think idle is still the most commonly used. Thanks. Lovely. Everything clear. That's what we hope to do.